Hi, Wendy. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today for coffee. How are things in Wichita? It looks very pretty with your fall colors. Has it started to snow there yet, or what? How are things going there?
Good morning, Amy. I too have my coffee, so we're ready to roll this morning. Not snowing yet, but just starting to get into that cooler fall and colors starting to change. So a time of year that we really enjoy.
Oh, that's so great. Well, I like your background. It looks so nice. I'm so glad we could get together today because I'm really excited to talk to you about authenticity and leadership because it's been something that I've been thinking so much about and talking so much about over the last several months. And so I'm really interested in getting your take on authenticity and leadership. And we've been hearing a lot about this great resignation, and I'm wondering if it's happening in part to people just not feeling connected to their purpose or wanting to find more purpose in their work. So these are some of the things that I've been hearing, and I was curious what you've been hearing and what have been your experiences. So I'm just excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. I am as well. I am as well. It's interesting, and I think as everyone has been doing a lot of reading and trying to synthesize all the different perspectives around kind of what's happening and how people are feeling and why they're feeling that way, and everything from the economists to the psychologists, and pulling that all together, and what does that really mean, and what does that really feel like. And I think we're all feeling it as employees. I think we're feeling it as customers as we're going into places, and we're noticing that there's just not as many people there that are providing services and those kinds of things. So I think one of the interesting things for me, and one of the key takeaways, is kind of a single word, and it's the word dislike. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many people who have ever left a job that they loved. And so when we start talking about the great resignation, I keep seeing this word that people are disliking the environment, or they dislike having to drive to work anymore, or they just whatever it is they dislike. And that's the sort of the key for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I think about people and people who love their job, they like their job, or they love their job, but if they dislike their job, it's probably a couple of things. They don't like their boss, or they don't really like their coworkers, or they don't like the environment, or they don't feel valued. And I
Yeah.
think one of the most important things about that value part of it, and one of the things that leads people to not be happy and satisfied, is they really don't connect to their meaning and their purpose in the workplace. And so that's a long day and a lot of hours without leaving as though you've done something that you find meaningful.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, for me, the pandemic was hard because I wasn't able to get out and do the work that I love so much.
Yes.
So it was, that was because I love what I do, and I'm very fortunate in that. So I'm not somebody that's going to quit my job anytime soon and do something drastically different. But I hear you. I think you're absolutely right. People don't tend to leave jobs that they love. Um, but how do we really know as leaders if we're leading authentically? What does it feel like when we are or when we're not?
Yes. And I think that's always such a great question. And I think it's a very personal question for people. And they have to kind of stop and think about, you know, first off, where do I find happiness and joy? Where does my satisfaction come from?
Yes.
I think I was working out this morning, and when I finished with a couple of minutes of yoga. And yoga is all about flow, and I hear this word flow a lot. And sometimes I can connect to it, and sometimes I don't always. But I really feel like when you're doing something that's authentic to you, you're in flow, right? It just feels right. There's
Yes.
nothing that's kind of nagging at the back of you. There's nothing that's holding you back. We're not going to have 100% of our time that things go perfect, and we don't
Right.
feel a sense of anything, not not, oh, I could have maybe done that better, or that could be a little better.
Mhm.
I feel like when the majority of what you do feels right to you, at head level and gut level, but when it feels great to you at heart level, that's when it's authentic.
Mhm. Mhm. For me, that flow is when I'm working with clients, when we're in a coaching session and we're able to get around some obstacles that they've had in their life, in their team, whatever, and seeing kind of the relief come over them or them getting better. That's for me the where I really feel connected to the work. Um so yeah, and it just doesn't feel like work. I mean, it feels like just what I'm meant to do in my life. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
um is it possible for us to change, or in our lives, or find ourselves in a place where we just don't really feel as connected to our purpose, or the why that we were connected to just doesn't really feel heart level anymore?
Mhm.
Um, and if so, what are some things we can do about it? And how do you help leaders that might be finding themselves in this place of discomfort, or just a nagging, like, something isn't really feeling connected on the heart level?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, the pandemic has changed who we are,
Mm,
I think, on so many levels.
yeah.
Aaron Wren coined a phrase, and he said that, we're, as families, we're coming back to being a do-it-yourself household. And so a lot of things that we used to be able to outsource, we couldn't, and now we don't necessarily want to. And
Mhm.
so I think that people, when I'm talking to clients and I'm listening to small business owners right now, I hear a lot of people that are more protective of their time. One of the things that I recently worked with a client on was being comfortable saying no. And
Yes.
I think more and more people are protecting their work-life balance, and
Yep.
they've sort of had a moment to step back and say, oh, wait, my whole life isn't about my job and my work,
Mhm.
right? It's okay if that's your meaning and your purpose. More power to you. But if it's not, then let's hit the reset button. And I think that's where a lot of people are right now, is that used to be my priority or my preference, but it's not anymore. And
Yes.
so taking that step back, and I think it's kind of getting up on the balcony and looking down on the dance floor and saying,
Yeah.
oh, or looking at yourself through a different lens. I love Deborah Tannen. She talks about the lenses of, connection and status. And I think people are looking through different lenses and looking for ways to connect to things, especially like you just said, we've spent a lot of time in isolation.
Yeah. Talk
You,
about it. Talk about being on the balcony. I mean, I don't think Heifetz and Linsky had that in my pandemic in mind when they coined that phrase. But I think just evaluating your entire life and what really matters and who really matters. I
Mhm.
find myself when I do get together with someone for happy hour or lunch, I really enjoy it, because before it was all the time, and
Mhm.
now it's more infrequent, but I just really enjoy being with that individual.
Mhm.
Maybe because it's, I've been isolated, but also because just that I really know that we want to have that time together, you know,
Mhm.
and it's just not this normal frenzied work pace that I was at before.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. I
So,
think,
so what are some questions that you ask clients, or that we can ask ourselves, to really make sure that we're maintaining that connection to our why, or that could help us rediscover that why?
yes. So anybody who knows me knows that I sort of have a thing for Simon Sinek, because I absolutely love his philosophy around finding your why. And
Yeah,
it's, he started it around business, and then it took this shift into
yeah.
your personal life and you as a leader. I think that the one thing that I really encourage people when we talk about this, and this is the conversation that I've had in many different aspects of my life, from social to professional. All kinds of people are going through this. What does the new normal look like and feel like? And so I think you have to figure out your own personal why.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I share with people around this is to think about the things that make you happy, the things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
When you leave work or when you leave an organization, what do you do? Who do you do it with? What does that environment feel like when you leave and you have more energy than you started with?
Mhm. Mhm. It's,
And
yeah, it's funny you should say that because I've been doing a lot of strategic planning with teams, and usually you start with a vision statement. Where are we going to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And I've been starting with taking them through that why exercise from Simon Sinek's book, and you know, two blanks, so that blank, two it. What is the purpose and what is the impact of that purpose?
yeah,
And then taking everybody's why statements and then looking at themes, and then looking at the organization and the team, and why are we here, and why does our job exist, and what is our purpose, and really connecting that to the vision of the organization, and kind of, or reconnecting that, because people have felt very disconnected. And so when we think about our journey in our career, it's going to span many years. And how can we connect our personal why to the reason that we are leaders?
mhm. And that's a great question. And so the I blank so that blank,
Yeah.
that's the key to the whole thing. So I'll share my personal one.
Great.
Mine is I teach and consult and coach and facilitate so that those around me can be truly fulfilled.
I
And
love it.
right, and that can take a lot of different avenues. You can be
Yeah.
fulfilled professionally, you can be fulfilled as a mentor, you can be fulfilled as a parent, as a spouse, as a friend, you fill in the blanks on your own. I
Yeah.
think that for people to find that connection, there are spaces that we put ourselves into that feel more comfortable. And
Mhm.
so I think that connecting your personal and professional why first has to be, I really do understand my why. It is an authentic why. I can tell anybody what it is at the drop of a hat. And then to find those spaces where you can do things in a work setting
Mhm.
that allow you to fulfill that why. So I call it finding your people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's your culture fit. And so it's, who
Yes.
are those people that share your vision? Who are those people that are like-minded with you
Mhm.
around the kind of workplace that you want?
Yes.
Right. And then where is an environment? I think that to be a truly authentic leader, your goal should be to empower those around you to lead.
Mhm.
Right. So leadership, I get to work with the Kansas Leadership Center, and I'm so fortunate. And we have lots of activities that we do together, and I get to use their material, and I love that. And Ed O'Malley's book has some fantastic things in it, and it comes out of the Heifetz and Linsky
Mhm.
um, body of knowledge, and it just kind of simplifies it down. But when we start to talk about finding your people, and we start to talk about these adaptive challenges, and we start
Yeah.
to talk about managing self, some of the things that come from that are, what is your part of the mess,
Yes.
right? And
Right.
so if you're not in the right environment, and you're not with like-minded people, and your goal truly is not to help those around you to be better, anybody can lead anywhere, anytime, right?
Yep.
Leadership is not a position, it's an
No.
activity.
Mhm.
And so if you really believe that, you can do that in any environment.
Mhm.
So find the right environment.
Mhm.
Find the things that you can connect to where getting those around you to their fulfilled space
Yep.
or reaching their potential. If that feels good to you, that's the space you need to be in.
Right. Where you can be authentically yourself in your own leadership. And it doesn't have to match a certain style, the style of your boss, but you can just be valued for who you are. And um, and it just feels connected. So I feel that way with you, Wendy, and I'm just so glad that you're now part of our Human Point team and available to help our clients connect back to their whys and purpose and achieve their highest potential. So thank you so much for meeting with me today. It was great sharing this time with you, and I'm glad we can meet for coffee. Cheers and
All right.
happy fall. I hope we can get together before too long. And thanks so much. Take
Thank you,
care.
Amy. Bye.
Bye-bye.